But so it was announced that not long ago that the Bellator will be holding this heavyweight tournament. You will be one of the guys on the bracket. Very cool stuff from Coker, in my opinion. Last time we spoke, it sounded like a fight with Bader for the strap was maybe in your crosshairs. The thing with Chuck Liddell had kind of been sidelined. Walk us through how this all came to fruition for you, and were you expected to be a part of the tourney originally?
Yeah, so I don't have a huge story on that. I was asked at one point by Bellator, kind of in passing, hey, would you ever consider going heavyweight? And the frame of reference I had is, King Mo's gone up to heavyweight, and Rampage is one of those guys that fights at light heavyweight, and one time he's fought at heavyweight. They just kind of matched some guys up. I said, yeah, I'd be open for whatever. That was the one and only dialogue I had. The tournament got announced. I didn't know they were doing a tournament. My fight with Rampage got announced. I never got asked, would you fight Rampage? I think we all kind of learned about it on ESPN together. I was talking to some other guys, and I don't know that anybody knew who was matched with who. I don't know how they came to the conclusions or how the brackets were drawn, but it is a straight line bracket. We know where the quarters are, the semis, as they develop and on into the finals. So, I think it's pretty cool in sport. If you're going to do a bracket, it's got to be a straight line. You can't go back and rematch them once the semis are done. You got to do it straight, and I like it. I'm on board. If you're gonna do a tournament, you can sit down with the power of the pen, or you can just bring all the best guys together, throw them out there, and see who's left standing.
So it was accurate in that you didn't know you were fighting Rampage until the poster came out?
It came out. I saw it on ESPN. Max had done a piece with Brett, and that's when it got announced. I believe ESPN broke it. If they didn't break it, they're the ones that broke it for me.
Wow. So Fedor, Mir, Mitrione, Big Country, Rampage, King Mo, Bader. I mean, this really has potential to be something awesome, and the tournament format has been dearly missed by MMA fans for a while. Give us your thoughts on the bracket, and who do you, aside from yourself, obviously, who should be favored to win in your opinion, and who do you think is the dark horse in the tournament?
All right, so I'll throw myself out of it, and let's see here. I think that it's very interesting. There's some complaints that some light heavyweights are getting thrown in, but I think whoever wins between Bader and Mo has to be on the fast track. I think that's a really hard fight. In many ways, that's the championship fight. You got Mitrione sitting in there, which is Bellator's #1 contender. If you weren't in a tournament, you're just going to go right into a fight. Mitrione's going to be one half of that, and then Roy Nelson. What a pain in the ass that is for Mitrione. They've already fought once. I'm sure Mitrione would like to get it back, but either way, Roy knows he can beat him because he has beaten him. I'm not one of the guys that's ever overlooked Fedor. I've always been impressed at the size of guys he fights. He fights these really, really big guys. So I've never really dusted him off or thought, okay, he's done or over the hill. He just fights really big guys, and when those punches connect, so I'm not overlooking Fedor. Frank Mir, always a hammer, world champion. How do you act like he can't go out and win this whole thing, particularly when it's just one fight per night and spread out over roughly 12 months? Rampage, a former world champion. I'm a tournament guy myself. I guess I was supposed to leave myself out of it, but I like tournaments, man. This is what I grew up doing.
Right. That definitely fits your history as an athlete. But, you mentioned Fedor. A lot of people think he's over the hill. I would agree with you, man. The guy still is a legend, and when you're in that heavyweight division, I mean, one punch connects, and that's the end of the night. I think that the fight with Mir is kind of a throwback to a fight that we've all wanted to see for many, many, many years. How do you think that one's going to play out?
Yeah, I love that match. I love it because it was, talked about over a decade ago. And, yeah, when you talk about Fedor and him being done, here, let's just look at his last fight. His last fight, he knocked Matt Mitrione out. The funny part was Mitrione knocked him out at the exact same time and happened to recover faster. So, what are you going to give him a loss on that? It was one of the weirder matches in all of MMA. So, I got no problem with Fedor, but I don't know. I don't know how he's going to do with Mir. Mir's a big guy. We talked about he's got problems once he gets to the ground with guys that have size on him. You saw what Bigfoot Silva did to him. And Mir's a big guy. He goes about the weight limit. He comes in around 260. Fedor weighs in pretty consistently about 236. And if Mir does get on top of him, I think that Fedor might have a hard time getting out and not being smothered. So, let's just see what happens there. But to your point, it's a fight that we've all wanted to see for a very long time, and now we finally got it.
Absolutely. Very exciting stuff. And I know the guys have already asked you about the size discrepancy and, you moving up in weight, King Mo moving up, although he has fought at heavyweight as well. Does anything about strategy change for you when you're fighting a guy with a considerable weight advantage?
Yeah, I think so. Those big guys suck for the most part, but you still got to deal with their size. If you have a style like mine where you're trying to get underneath the guy, control his hips, and lift him up off the ground and let gravity do the rest, pretty hard to do when a guy's that much bigger. So now you got to move to Plan B. I think as a competitor, that's a lot of fun. I've got a Plan B. I've just never had to show it because I've never had a guy that could stop me from taking him off his feet. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the challenge. I'm looking forward to the difference. Looking forward to taking on some guys that are terrible. And there you go. I mean, you go from there. I wouldn't overlook Rampage. I mean, Rampage at 205 is a tough night out. Rampage at 255 is an even tougher night out. But what the hell's the difference? We're all under contract with the same company. We all got the same goal. So let's go fight for it.
Yeah, I know you talked about a bit about Rampage, usually talking trash, but in this instance, he's giving you a lot of props, a lot of credit here. How do you feel about the matchup? And give us your take on the stuff that he said about his detest for fighting wrestlers.
Yeah, and that's been going around. I don't know if old Rampage is trying to butter me up or what the deal is, but I'm not taking my eye off the ball. I know that's an angry, fierce, powerful man. And if he thinks being nice to me is going to get me to train any less, he's talking to the wrong guy. So I'm going to go out there. I'm going to work as hard as I can. I'm going to go out and fight him. I'm going to deal with his punches. I'm going to deal with his power. Get the fight to where I want it. And 15 minutes later, I'm going to go home.
Now, he's been criticized of maybe having cardio issues in the past, putting on a considerable amount of weight. Are you expecting him to maybe have even more cardio issues going into this, or do you expect him to be in better shape, given that he can put on more weight?
It's really hard to say because I've heard both of those things too, and I'm influenced by both of them, not unlike anybody else. But I watched him at this weight one time against King Mo. I didn't think he looked tired. Now I watched it live. Maybe I need to go back and rewatch it. I didn't think he looked tired. I thought that the third round was one of his better rounds. I thought he was scrambling well, and once he lands that power, he hurts opponents. I wouldn't be any different. I don't want to deal with Rampage's power, so that'll be part of the strategy and part of the plan when you go in there. But that stuff's all easy to talk about in interviews like this. It all goes out the window when they shut that door. So let's just fight.
Right, absolutely. Now, I'm wondering, would winning this Grand Prix be the biggest accomplishment of your career, in your opinion? Fighting career, anyway.
I think so. I mean, I fought for 5 world championships, and I didn't leave there with any belts. So, yeah, if I grabbed a belt, I can't think of anything bigger that I've been part of. So, but it's one night at a time. Again, I'm a tournament guy, but one of the keys to tournaments is you don't look ahead. You don't think about having to take on 3 guys. You just break it down to one guy, then you break it down even further to one round at a time. And one minute by minute, one movement by movement. So it would certainly be an accomplishment for anybody that can walk out of there with a belt. Man, that's something you keep forever.
Now, you had mentioned you expect this to take place over 12 months. Give us your thoughts on the decision of Bellator to have this go over such a long period of time. Do you think maybe it'll lose some steam after these quarterfinals get done or whatever the case is?
Oh, goodness, no. It's just the opposite with tournaments. I mean, you can look at anything. Look at the NCAA basketball for whatever, or whatever example you want to use, playoffs for the NFL is, those things gain hype. You start talking about everything. Okay, well, this quarterfinal's going on in this quarterfinal. What if this guy wins? But what if this guy wins and there's an upset here? And you start dreaming about these possible matches. And as a fan, you're so excited once you finally know, okay, who's going to take on who. If I have any hope for the tournament, we won't see any alternates. The tournament will play out. Everybody will do what they said they're going to do, which is show up and compete on whatever night they're asked to. And that should be a simple ask. But in today's world of all the wussies that are in MMA, man, you never know.
Right, and you talk about alternates. There's a lot of news going around that Shane Carwin might possibly be in that conversation. What do you think of him potentially coming into this as an alternate? I mean, that's a big, scary dude.
Yeah, he's a stud, and then Bobby Lashley is the other guy. I think those were the 2 names that Scott Coker mentioned. So, I don't know if he's got contracts with Carwin or just has a verbal handshake deal. I don't really know how far that is along, but Coker only gave 2 names, and Lashley and Carwin were those 2 names. And yeah, man, you're out of the frying pan and into the fire with either one of them. So what's the difference? Sign them both up for all I care.
Right. All right. Well, one more thing on this heavyweight tournament. I just wanted to know in your own opinion, as a martial artist for all these years, knowing all of these guys, what fight would you most like to have, given the opportunity that the stars align? Which opponent would you most like to face?
Oh, for me, well, right now, I'll go one at a time. Rampage. I like Rampage. I always thought Rampage and I were going to fight sooner or later. They tried to do it in the UFC, and it almost came together, and then we both ended up in Bellator, so it seemed like that was one that was going to happen. But I wouldn't look ahead, man. I would just, if I could align the stars and play by the rules you set forward, then I would just pick whatever the easiest fights were. I'd pick whatever guy sucks the most. But, I mean, you got 7 guys, and you got Chael Sonnen. It should be no surprise who the favorite of this tournament is.
Right. Awesome answer, as always.